Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children, welcome to our online teaching academy Ekalaiva. The topic of this video is CBSE class 7 science respiration in organism. So in this lesson today we are going to discuss about the types of respiration. So in our introductory part I have discussed about the types of respiration, that is based on the location, external respiration and internal respiration. External respiration will take place externally, it is a physical process, and internal respiration, it is otherwise called as cellular respiration, which is taking place in our each and every cell of our body. Okay. Now in the respiration in animals, we have discussed about discussed about the types of respiration and 4 different types, that is based on the respiratory organ which is used by the particular animal. Suppose if the animal uses the lungs for their respiration, they are called as pulmonary respiration. Suppose if it is uses the spiracles like insects, they are called as tracheal respiration. And then if a particular animal uses the skin for their respiration, it is called as cutaneous respiration. And then if a particular animal uses the gills, for example fish uses the gills for their respiration, and that type of respiration we used to call it as bronchial respiration. So based on the location it has been categorized, and based on the organ it is using, based on that also it is categorized. Now we are going to differentiate the respiration in a different manner. Okay. So that's all about the recall of previous class. Okay. And now in this video, as I said earlier, we are going to discuss about the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So now we will talk about what is aerobic respiration, what is anaerobic respiration. So aerobic means with air. Okay, the term itself defines that particular respiration is taking place only in the presence of oxygen. Okay, so oxygen is must, oxygen is required to occur. Okay, so that is what the meaning of this aerobic respiration. So we know the chemical equation which is happening in the cellular respiration, or otherwise aerobic respiration, we can name it in the other way. So what happens, this one we have discussed in the previous class, the particular glucose. I mean, we know that food which we are eating has been stored in the form of glucose in our body. So we are getting energy from the glucose, and how, I mean food we are eating, and how do we getting the energy? Only with the help of oxygen. Without oxygen the locked energy cannot be unlocked. So oxygen plays a key role over here to unlock the energy from the glucose. So what happens, this glucose will be broken down with the help of oxygen. What are all the byproducts we are getting? Carbon dioxide, water, and with that we are getting the energy. So this is the process of aerobic respiration. So when our body will undergo aerobic respiration, especially when our body does or did some activities where we used to breathe a lot. For example, let me give you some what is that, examples like exercise what we are doing. Okay, so this is what I have told you previously. Glucose is broken down with the help of oxygen, and it gives the carbon dioxide, water, and energy. And here are the some of the examples of activities which requires aerobic respiration. So swimming or riding, fast walking or otherwise running. Okay, so these activities, during these activity our body undergoes aerobic respiration. Okay, now I'll tell you, now let us discuss what is anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration, before that we need to discuss about the respiration and as well as the combustion. Okay, so what is this new term combustion over here? Okay, because respiration also takes place in the presence of oxygen, and combustion also will takes place in the presence of oxygen. So we are in, now we are supposed to differentiate what is the difference between these respiration and as well as the combustion. It is totally, combustion is totally different from the respiration, but combustion also cannot be taken place without oxygen, and respiration also cannot be done without the oxygen. That is, aerobic respiration is not possible without the oxygen. So now we will differentiate. Combustion, it is a process which happens, it is a mechanical process, okay, but the respiration, it happens inside our body, okay. So the first differentiation tells that it is the biological process, so which means it is takes place inside our body, okay. So combustion is a chemical process. The other name for combustion is the burning, okay. If you are burning something, any objects, so that process we are naming it as combustion, okay. So that is why it is a chemical process. And next one, respiration, it will takes place in our body. We know our body requires a normal temperature, right. So respiration will happen only in the normal temperature, but in case of combustion, it will be takes place only at higher temperature. So during burning you can feel the temperature over there, so obviously it takes place at higher temperature. And respiration is a slow and continuous process. Throughout our life, this respiration will takes place inside the cells, okay. But combustion is a fast and as well as it is a continuous process. So when you burn a candle or when you burn a matchstick, you can see, or you can find out how fastly the matchstick is burned up, okay. So that is why it is a fast and continuous. So I told you already, it occurs in a respiration occurs in the living cells, but combustion does not occur in the living cells. And when you are doing respiration and when the body undergoes respiration, that is aerobic respiration, here we are meaning aerobic respiration, it releases energy, yes. But in case of combustion also releases energy, but in the form of light and as well as the heat. So that is the differentiation about the aerobic respiration and as well as the combustion. Why are we discussing these two? Because these two processes only possible with the help of oxygen, okay. Now we will move to the anaerobic respiration. So this anaerobic respiration means, anaerobic means without air. So it will takes place even without the oxygen. So that is the meaning of it. It does not require oxygen for it to occur, okay. Then how will it takes place? Let me give you an equation for that. So we know that glucose, food will be stored in the form of glucose, and that glucose will directly be converted into energy without the oxygen, okay. It will be converted into energy, but when it is directly converted into an energy, it is also going to give a byproduct called lactic acid or otherwise lactate, okay. So this anaerobic respiration, when it will takes place in our body, okay, when the muscles needs, all of a sudden if the muscle needs a more energy, then it produces, the muscles or the cells will undergo anaerobic respiration, because when you do, you can find that when you do, all of a sudden if you are doing some exercises, or if you are all of a sudden if you are involving any activities and your body doesn't know that how much oxygen you are required, all of a sudden if you are doing that, so, and we know that our body requires more energy, so that what will happen, it automatically undergoes anaerobic respiration, okay. So this anaerobic respiration, when does it takes place? When oxygen is not, when we are breathing, we are taking in the oxygen, when that oxygen is not enough for our body, then automatically cells will undergo anaerobic respiration. So when you are doing the anaerobic respiration, this is the chemical equation. We know that glucose, already I have told you, it is the stored energy, and which will be in the absence of oxygen, it will be converted into lactate. So lactate formula is C3H6O3. So lactate, and along with that energy has been produced. But when you compare with the aerobic respiration, obviously it will produce very less energy. Okay. So glucose, here what happens, it is partially broken down here, that means half only has been broken down, and it produces the lactic acid and as well as the energy. And when it is producing this lactic acid, what happens, this anaerobic respiration will leads the muscles to undergo a muscular cramps. Okay. So muscular cramps, as I said earlier, if you are doing all of a sudden, if you are doing any activity or if you are doing any exercise, you could have mostly, suppose if you are climbing steps for a if you are not used to that, and all of a sudden if you are climbing as steps, and what you will feel is your calf muscles will have the cramps. Okay. Why that cramps? Because of the accumulation of this lactic acid. So anaerobic respiration, what is that? Glucose is directly converting into energy, and when they are converting into energy, it is also producing the lactic acid. When that lactic acid accumulated in your body muscles, and obviously will undergo muscular cramps. Then how can we avoid this muscular cramps? To avoid that, we should begin an exercise starting with aerobic respiration. So when we are discussing about the aerobic respiration, I have told you that fast walking or running or swimming, riding, these are the aerobic respiration. And obviously we have to start with this aerobic respiration. When we are doing that, oxygen supply to our body will be more. So because of that, what happens, our body switch on to the aerobic respiration. And also this muscle cramps, how can we avoid, means we should drink a plenty of fluids while working out or while doing the exercises, so that what happen, oxygen supply to our body will be regulated. And also we should cool down and stretch at the end of the exercises. So it enhances the aerobic respiration. And we also can give the hot water massage to the muscular cramps. Even if you rub the cramped place, if you rub with your hand or if you massage, then automatically all the lactate which is accumulated again will be broken down and energy will be released. Okay. So that anaerobic respiration, due to that lactate has been accumulated, and that will be avoided again by the aerobic respiration. So now we will differentiate the aerobic respiration and as well as the anaerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration, the term itself tells that it needs the oxygen. Anaerobic respiration, it does not require the oxygen. Aerobic will take place in the presence of oxygen, anaerobic will take place in the absence of oxygen. Glucose broken down. How the glucose has been broken down in case of aerobic and as well as anaerobic. In case of aerobic, glucose will be completely broken down, but in case of anaerobic, it will not get completed, it is an incomplete work. Okay. And what are all the end products in aerobic respiration? CO2, that is carbon dioxide, and water, that is H2O. So these are the byproducts of aerobic respiration. Along with that, energy also will be released. And in case of anaerobic respiration, lactic acid plus energy will be released, and this lactic acid only in case of animals. If it is a plants, some different product will be released, and that we will be discussing in our next video. What about the energy released? In case of aerobic, large amount of energy released, but in case of anaerobic, very small amount of energy has been released. So far we have differentiated the respiration in different methods. The very first, let me recall once again, the very first differentiation is based on the location. One is the external and the other one is the internal. And the next one based on the respiratory organ it is used. Okay, and now based on the oxygen usage. So based on that we have differentiated aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So that's all about this aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Please do subscribe our channel to get the latest updates. Thank you children.